Another question for you. We just had a caller who called in, Rick, and he talked about the NBA protesting, and he said that he wished that they could protest in another way. And I wanted to ask him, and I didn't get a chance to, but I'll pose it to you. What way would be comfortable, or what do you think, if you have any thoughts on ways that you think that the players should protest?
So what do they protest?
Injustice, an African-American man getting shot 7 times in the back, and a gazillion others that get shot all the time, unjustifiably by the police.
Do you think it's unjustified? I don't know, guys. I mean, you're talking about something now that you're pulling this out of the air. You don't know the circumstances. I don't know the circumstances. I don't agree with shooting anybody. But I don't know. I don't know how you would say it's right or wrong or otherwise. The police have a job to uphold law and order. That's their job. Now, do they make mistakes? Yes, they do. But I think if you look at the percentages, they do a pretty good job.
Coach, here's what the whole issue is. All right. Here's why the protestings are going on. Here's why players are boycotting. Here's why, not only in the National Football League, Major League Baseball, the NBA, and of course, the National Hockey League, soccer, the whole 9 yards. It's the fact that there are things that are occurring. Now, there are 75% of African American or minorities playing in the National Football League. 75% of the players in the NBA are African American or minority men. So they are the ones who are getting very well paid as far as what they're doing because of their talents and their skill set. But the other 99% of us, we got to earn a living, and we got to find a way to do that. So when the circumstances are not presented to you on a plain, even level playing field, and in some cases they end in death, the 1% that has made it out, the less than 1%, are saying, hey, you know what? We got to do something here, because for the grace of God, there go I. And that's the problem, Coach. These players who are making the money that they're making and on the stage and the platform that they're on are saying, hey, you know what? We have to represent the people who have not made it, who are still struggling. And this is a way for us to get our point across, get our message across. And for anyone who does not see that or understand that, it lends to bring about some pain. And that's the problem that these players have, and the community as a whole have, with management, people in authority, and people who make decisions aren't meeting at the table to try to come up with a solution.
Well, you're probably right. There's some things you said there are probably right. I mean, I think they should work hard enough to. Pro sports is a tremendous thing. It pays a lot of people a lot of money. It's good for a lot of people. Enjoy it. You have a God-given talent. Not everybody has the talent to dribble a basketball, shoot a basketball, catch a football, or hit a baseball. You got a talent. Thank God for it. Enjoy it. And do it in peace.
No, so Coach, here's the deal. And I love you on with the great Coach Mike Dicker of your Super Bowl winning Chicago Bears, the 85 Bears, Super Bowl 20. Coach, here's the deal. You are an advocate. You are out front for the retired players who can't take care of themselves because of the game of football. You are very outspoken, and those players who can't speak for themselves, who either literally can't talk, their mental CTE, the mental capacity has diminished considerably, their bodies are broken down, and you're out front saying, listen, we need to take care of these guys because this sport has given us the livelihood that we have today. But unfortunately, there are players in the past, in your era, before your era, and after your era, who financially aren't prepared. They can't take it. Physically, they're breaking down. And you want to make sure that things are done right and properly for those guys because they paved the way. And that's what these athletes in this protest and these boycotts are doing. They said, listen, it's beyond us now. This is our community. What do you say to that? Because you're doing the same thing.
I'm not saying they're right or wrong. Listen to me. I don't know what they are, right or wrong. I know that they have a right to dignity. Everybody has a right to dignity. And if they don't think they're getting dignity, then you got to let the protest. But you make a lot of money, guys. You're making a lot of money. You can't make that kind of money doing anything else. You cannot make the kind of money you make in sports doing anything else.
No. Yeah, I agree.
Then I said it. That's it.
Okay.
So, be grateful. Enjoy the opportunity. You got. Thank God. Every day when you wake up, thank God. Hey, man, I got great talent. I'm using them. I'm making a lot of money. I can take care of my family. Enjoy it.
Hey, Coach, this is Dan in the studio. Before your battery goes dead, I wanted to ask you quickly about the kneeling. I assume you feel the same way, that they have a right to.
I don't think it's right. I think it's a privilege to live in this country. I think our flag is a symbol of freedom and opportunity and all the good things. And I think well, I don't know why. The kneeling thing I don't understand, so I really shouldn't comment on it.
No, I understand, Coach, and that's the problem here, because we all, you live in this country, you've grown up, learning the national anthem and our pledge allegiance to the flag and all of that stuff. But, Coach, here's the difference here. Here's the big difference, and this is why we wanted to have you on to get your thoughts and get your perspective on what's affecting not only this great city that we live in, but this country that we live in and the world that we live in, Coach. And those players that you talked about, you have some fantastic players on that Super Bowl team, whether it's Walter Payton, Willie Gault, Mike Singletary, Otis Wilson. But listen, Coach, here's what we want you to understand and want others to understand, that as an African American man living in this country, playing in the greatest game in the world, in my opinion, playing professional sports and all the money that you make, at the end of the day, you still walk out of your door every single day as a black man, and you have to wonder what kind of racism I'm going to experience today because of the color of my skin. And that's the problem, Coach. The great Walter Payton.
Okay.
Coach.
I hear you.
Coach. So here's
That's the problem.
So how do we do it? Because, Coach, you don't help. You didn't help the situation, Coach. And I love you to come on with us, but you didn't help the situation when you said, if you don't like this country, get the hell out of it. You didn't help. Oh, he hung up.
Oh, did we lose him?
Devin, call him back.
Hey, Jalen, when you went back to your phone after the game, did you have more text messages about getting run over by Marvin Jones or breaking up the final pass of the game?
Neither one, honestly. It was just more congratulations on the game, on the win. That was about it.
Cam Ellis.
Jalen, did that hit feel as big as it looked on TV? And sort of what was the immediate reaction when you got back to the sideline?
No, it didn't hurt at all. I mean, it made it look like that, but no, it wasn't. I didn't feel too much. And then to get back up and keep playing wasn't nothing else to keep thinking about.
Dan Wiederer.
Jalen, can you take us through the play that resulted in Fuller's interception and what you saw and were able to do to help get that ball up in the air?
I know we were in man for sure. I know I had some inside help. I just was playing my technique best I can, and then I just squeezed and tried to get my hand in there. Ended up popping it up with my fist, and then I was just hoping somebody got it, and it ended up being Kyle. So, it just worked out in our favor because we needed that turnover at that time.
Pat Finley.
Jalen, hey, what did you expect out of your first game, and did it live up to what you spent your whole life waiting for?
It definitely felt natural, felt good being out there. At the end of the day, it just came down to just playing football and trusting in myself and my teammates, and then just trying to make as many plays as I can and not give up too many plays. That was pretty much it. It felt good being out there playing ball.
Sean Hammond.
Jalen, what did you see on the final play of the game there, and how did you guys sort of focus in after almost giving up the touchdown right before that?
We just put that play before in the back of our heads. We couldn't keep thinking about it because we had one more play left. And I mean, I knew Stafford was coming back that way. That was his best receiver on that side. He was just trying to look the defense off. I mean, it was obvious he was coming back. So, I mean, it was just being able to find the ball and make a play on the ball and break it up.
Mike McGraw.
Hey, Jalen, it seemed like especially in the middle quarters, the Lions are going to your side almost exclusively. Did it ever feel like they were picking on you during that game? Like you're getting a lot of action?
No, I wouldn't say that they were picking on me, no. I mean, I thought that was just where their reads may have been, but I didn't feel one time where they were picking at me.
Phil Thompson.
Jalen, what's to say about your camp that rookies like you and Darnell Mooney made big contributions? And then speaking of Mooney, going against guys like him in practice, who's really the fastest between him, Ginn, and Tariq Cohen?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the beginning of your question.
I was saying, asking about what does it say about your camp that rookies like you and young players like you and Mooney made such big contributions right away in week one?
I was just saying it was learning how to adapt mentally and physically to the situation and to the level of play that we are required to be at and perform at this level. So, I mean, it was just being able to push ourselves mentally and physically to be able to be prepared. I mean, he's worked his tail off all camp as I did as well. So, I mean, it was just good being able to go against him and being able to push each other. I think you asked me about some being the fastest, and I would definitely say Mooney moves a little different than most guys do.
Dan Wiederer.
Jalen, obviously the 426 on the final box score for the Lions yardage isn't something that sits well with you guys defensively. Have you gotten back into meetings? What's been sort of the vibe and the mood as you guys kind of look to go through that film?
Honestly, I would assume like any other week, there's always some good things to point out, and then there's some things to get to work at. And I mean, the little mistakes that were made were just the mistakes that were made were small mistakes. So, I mean, it was just about doing little things right and eliminating the big plays.
Two more here, guys. Adam Johns.
Hey, Jalen. Can you hear me okay? Sorry, I got here a little bit late. I just wanted to ask you about your first experiences playing with Eddie Jackson and communicating with Tayshaun Gibson, being on the opposite side of Kyle Fuller and being close to bust the screen. How was that for you, whether it was the communication or maybe some of the advice they gave you like live during the game?
I mean, I love it because, I mean, it's different being in practice and things not going as fast and up tempo and then having as much pressure. So, I mean, in the game, it's different being able to communicate and be on the same page and also hear some of the tips that they're giving me after certain plays, just certain encouragement and things like that. So, I mean, it was definitely nice to have those guys alongside and being able to compete and make plays along those guys.
Pat Finley.
Jalen, when you look at the contributions from Mooney and Kmet played a lot, and you, what do you think this rookie class can be in the short term, and then kind of as the season goes on and everybody gets even more experience?
I mean, there's no telling. First things first, we got to keep showing up week in and week out, and also staying healthy as well. So, I mean, if we can do those things, keep progressing, keep staying healthy, I mean, there's no telling what we can do as a rookie class.
Awesome. Thanks for your time today, Jalen.
Thank you.
Hey, Darnell, I wanted to ask you about the first catch you had on Sunday. You kind of, Coach Furry said you kind of knew the ball was going to come to you. What did you see on that play? What did you like about that play? Why did it wind up working for you?
We got the same look that we got in practice. It was kind of the same way. I just knew I had to show my speed, and they would respect it, and just run a good route. I knew the ball would be there before I even broke, so just locating the ball after I ran my route and then make something happen after.
Did you need to get any jitters out at all, it being your first NFL game, and did that help with that?
I didn't have any jitters. I was normal. I was actually more calmer than I was before any game. I didn't even listen to music before the game. I was calm, kind of way too chill than normal, but I was fine.
Pat Finley.
Was there one aspect of the game that was what you thought it would be, or in another that was surprising or different? I'm sure you spent your whole life wondering what playing in an NFL game would feel like.
It was pretty normal. I mean, I didn't see any difference of just huddling mainly, but other than that, it was pretty normal to me. Nothing too different.
Did you not huddle it two-way?
No, we were fast offense.
Chris Emma.
Darnell, how did you find out that you were going to be active for this game? Like, at what point did the coaches tell you, and what was that moment like for you finding out?
They told me like the week where we started game planning. I mean, in my mind, I felt like I was going to be active. I had a good camp, showed them exactly what I can do, and all the unknowns that what I couldn't do, what I could do. But I mean, I felt good going into the 53 roster and all of that.
Dan Wiederer.
Darnell, why no music and why so chill during pregame on Sunday?
I don't know. I guess in high school and college, you're just I have to do so good to get to the NFL now. I mean, I'm here now. It's just I know the ball will eventually get to me, and I have more opportunities to just do what I can do, and then instead of just trying to make something happen at any chance, I can just be calm and just let the play happen.
What was the key for you in getting yourself ready to play in week one when you didn't have a full training camp, you didn't have OTAs and minicamp on the field? What allowed you to catch up quickly enough?
Just learning the playbook as well, knowing what you're doing, and then just going out there, practice executing, and then getting reps, gaining confidence, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
Adam Johns.
Hey, Darnell, you mentioned in camp that the guys were bailing on you and respecting your speed a little bit as the days went on. Did you see some of that almost right away from the Lions in week one?
As soon as I was getting out there, they were yelling speed, 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 and like the first couple of plays, they weren't pressing. But I mean, it's an honor that they're respecting my speed. I mean, I would love to be able to get some press more often. I mean, but I'm sure there's going to be multiple teams that are going to be like, you're a rookie. I don't care how fast you are. They're going to put a lot of hands on me, but I'm ready.
Kind of going off, are there any cornerbacks you're looking forward to going against here down the road? Do you circle guys? Do you like anything like that? Any certain challenges?
No, I don't have any certain guys. I mean, every week I go into it respecting the guy across from me, but at the end of the day, I believe in myself highly. So I feel like I can win every time.
JJ?
When you talk about, cornerbacks respecting your speed, where does the instinct come from to, that kind of stop and start on Trefant where you kind of juked him? Where does that instinct come from for you?
I'm not sure what you're talking about. You talking on the sideline to the left? Oh, I don't believe that was Trefant, but I mean, it was just normal to me. Like I said, the gameplay was normal. I mean, you see the guy just make a move after the ball. I mean, I have that ability to do that, and I mean, that's just one of the abilities that I have.
Chris Emma.
Darnell, you said you felt confident that you would be active, and obviously it felt like you performed really well in camp. So what else is kind of next for you in terms of goals for the rest of the season? And individually, what do you want to accomplish?
Just being a bigger playmaker during the season. I mean, as the season goes, gaining a more stronger role, and just gaining more confidence in having the coaches gain more confidence in me, trusting me of what I can do, and just let me, ball out.
Mike McGraw.
Darnell, I'm curious how you see yourself as a receiver. You made a lot about your combine speed. Also seems like your skill set is well into kind of the slot receiver, getting open under the middle, using your quickness. do you see yourself, your role in the NFL?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the beginning part. You say how?
I'm just seeing how, what you see your role in the NFL, because it seems like people make a lot about your combine speed, but you also seem to have that that slot receiver, use your quickness to get open kind of.
I mean, I feel like I could play anywhere on the field, outside, inside. So wherever Coach Nagy wants me to be, I mean, I'm available anywhere and any time on the field. So I'm confident and comfortable anywhere.
Couple more for Darnell. Dan Wiederer.
Darnell, how do you describe the sort of unusual atmosphere that was there Sunday that you played in at Ford Field? And then following up on that, what would you describe as the atmosphere inside Club Dub afterwards?
So first off, Club Dub was amazing. I've never been a part of that. But I mean, during the game, I mean, fans, usually like with fans, I miss the fans. But during the game, I mean, all that closes out when you're in the game. And then I watched the game afterwards just to see like what it was like to watch it on TV. And I didn't know that they had the fan noise. It was extremely loud. I didn't know that. And we didn't hear none of that on the field, but that was totally different.
Adam Johns.
Hey, Darnell, I'm curious, are you aware of some of maybe the buzz about you now after your debut, whether it's internally amongst your coaches or outside from fans and social media? And then I guess as one of the fast guys on the team, what do you think of the speed overall on offense with Cohen, Patterson, Ginn, and whatnot?
I don't really pay attention to social media. I mean, I'm on there, but I don't really look at myself and just see what everybody's talking about. I mean, like I said, I felt like I played decent. I caught every ball, and I mean, there's more expectations out of me, but as a speed of our offense, I feel like we have an amazing offense and defense and special teams. We played a little rusty, but I feel like we can get it all together. It's week 1, no preseason games, and it's gonna be a good year.
Thanks, Darnell.
Thank you.
Hey, Cody, how you doing?
Good. How are you guys?
Good. What felt different for you with the run game, just to start the season compared to last year?
Yeah, I mean, guys were just coming off the ball. The backs were seeing the holes great. And, even out on the edge, guys were, the receivers and everybody was blocking great. So it was just, a great team effort, and we were able to run the ball.
Chris Emma.
Cody, what's up? How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good, good. You've been somebody who's been close with Mitch since he arrived in the building. What do you think Sunday meant for him, coming off an offseason of challenges and being challenged, of course, to earn this spot and then leading you guys back?
Yeah, I mean, it had to have given him great confidence. And you could tell in the fourth quarter he was super confident. And, we told him that, just stay calm back there, and that's what he did. And, he, as you can see, he threw some great balls towards the end of the game and brought us back to win.
Pat Finley.
Cody, what do you like about him being under center versus in the shotgun? It seemed like that happened a lot more, and Matt was talking about that being a big difference this year.
Yeah, I think it helps with the flow of the defense too, and gets them to run a little bit more, which we can be more aggressive on our combo blocks and then get to the second level. So I think, just having the defense run a little bit more and those guys play a little bit more lateral helps us out.
Larry Mayer.
Cody, I know that Coach Castillo has talked about your leadership and how you're pretty much in charge of the offensive line and also one of the leaders on offense. When you guys go into the fourth quarter down by 17 points, do you feel it necessary to kind of rally the troops or say anything to the offensive line going into that situation in terms of kind of keeping their heads up?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing is just us sticking together, not falling apart when we're down 17 and just picking each other up and just coming together, I think was the biggest thing. And everybody just stepped up their execution a little bit. And, that was the game changer, is just everybody staying calm and then, stepping up their play, and we got it done.
Juan also said that whenever something went wrong with the offensive line, he was going to blame you for it. Does that mean he credits you for a good performance?
it all starts with me, Larry. As far as making the point and making sure everybody's on the same page. So, if we're wrong, it affects. If I'm wrong, it affects all 5 guys. So I got to be, right all the time so that everybody's on the right page.
Dan Wiederer.
Cody, Larry's always blaming you for the mistakes, just so you know. But with the way you guys ran the ball on Sunday, to have 149 rushing yards, to average 5.3 a pop, when you went back and looked at it on film, what jumped out to you?
I think the biggest thing we saw is just guys finishing their blocks. All across the board, from wide receivers to tight ends to us. Just finishing our blocks. And I think the biggest thing too, is getting up to the second level, because we know that, if we get caught up at the first level and don't get to the second level, that's where our lost yardage plays come. And, we try to avoid that as best we can. And, we had some success with that this week. So we just got to keep it going forward.
Kevin Fishbane.
Cody, when watching David run, when you watched it on tape, what were some of the things that stood out to you?
Just his physicality, the way he ran. You see a couple times on film where he'd get, hit right across the line of scrimmage, or even, 1 or 2 yards. And, just the physicality that he ran with, and, the yards after contact, I think, is what stood out to me the most.
Pat Finley.
For all the talk about identity and a will to run the ball and all of that sort of stuff, for linemen, does it just come down to beating your guy? And why do you think that didn't happen as much last year as you guys wanted it to be?
I don't know as far as last year. I think the biggest thing this year, our identity, is just focusing, everybody just winning their one-on-one battle. And if we can do that, week in and week out, we give, whether it be the pass or the run game, we give all that a chance. So I think that's the biggest thing this year, just everybody winning their one-on-one battles.
Mike McGraw.
This is kind of a similar question, but I was just kind of curious if you guys came into this season seeing as something you needed to fix from what didn't go well last year, or how you guys could get back to the 2018 level that you guys played at.
Yeah, it all starts with us up front, and opening holes for the backs, and giving Mitch or the guys back there protection, so they can feel comfortable and see the field and get the ball to the receivers. So, I think that was the biggest thing this year is, like I said, we're just win our one-on-one battles, both in the run and the pass, and that's what we're really focusing on right now.
A couple more here for Cody. Dan Wiederer.
Cody, on the 28-yard sack, what went wrong on the interior there?
Yeah, we just got to be, and it starts with me, get a little bit further off the ball and being able to switch that game off. Those 3-man games are tough, and, we all just got to be on the same page, but it starts with me, as far as getting depth and being able to pass that off.
Cody, you're also in new territory for the first time in your NFL career at 1-0. What's that like now to have that start and to be back in the building with that 1-0? Yeah,
it feels good. And, especially versus a divisional opponent, and getting started off on the right track there. But just, starting the year off with a win versus a loss, it gives us more confidence. And, we're going to carry that over next week.
The Rewind
Sports
Sports
60. From the city of big shoulders, the jewel of the Midwest, comes a sports show that's one of a kind. From iconic players to iconic stadiums to iconic teams, this is my kind of town. Chicago! And the Rewind Sports 60 is my kind of show. From Air Jordan to Sweetness to Papa Bear Hallis, this city works hard, but plays even harder. Danny Carlino and Jerry Riles bring you the Rewind Sports 60. Live. The Rewind Sports 60 starts now.
Save much time running. Stafford looking, throwing, the pass. It's going to the Bears get it back, and it's Kyle Fuller with a huge pickoff for Chicago in Lion territory. This And the Bears finally get it done. It's like pulling teeth in the dentist chair the way the Bears are trying to get their offense going today. But Jimmy Graham, they don't. And there's the rollout and the pass, and it's caught for the touchdown.
Or you just roll it out and throw it to Javon Lynch for an easy touchdown.
It could be one of the
exactly.
one of 11 things that they could do, right? Stafford is going to get sacked. And I believe that's the first quarterback sack of the game, and it's Akeem Hicks. First down. And there's the long pass to Miller. And Miller is there. And it's a touchdown. Anthony Miller, who has made 2 brilliant catches today, does it again, and the Bears take the lead. 27-yard pass.
The guys were ready for it. We've been talking about it. They're excited to be able to enjoy a victory. To start out for us, our first time, and it sounds like 7 years that we started off 1-0. I'm just so happy for them. Our coaches were excited in there.
I don't know how to describe it. It's a little weird. I don't know if Fury's the right word, but we definitely miss the fans, home or away. We want to get them back, but whenever it's safe to do that, it's definitely a huge part of football. But I think that just is another obstacle you got to overcome. You got to create your own energy for your team and for your offense. And I think our playmakers did that in the second half. We just gave them opportunities, and they went up and made plays.
I thought he did a really good job in the pocket in the first 2 quarters into the third. But what we were struggling with was the third downs, the dropbacks, and getting into those 3rd and 7 pluses. But our play action when he was in the pocket, he was pretty spot on. He did miss. I think he missed 1 dagger throw over the middle. And then Jimmy Graham, we had a couple that they're working through that connection there, but they're going to get that down. But
welcome, everybody, to the Rewind Sports 60. I'm your host, Lauren Cox, and we are broadcasting live from our WCPT studios in the beautiful city of Chicago. And we are so excited because we got a Bears win today. Phenomenally, the Bears came out, pulled it off at the final hour. They beat the Lions 27-23 to start off what has been an epic week in sports. This Thursday was the first day ever that the NFL, the MLB, the NBA, the WNBA, the MLS, the NHL, and the US Open all played on the same day. So we went from absolutely no sports to more sports that we could ever imagine. So we definitely want to get everyone involved. We want to hear your comments, thoughts, everything you need to say regarding the Bears and their win today. Give us a call. Again, fastest hour in sports. Our number is 773-763-9278. So I want to get right to it and bring in my wonderful esteemed panel. Dan, Marver, the marvelous one. What were your thoughts on that epic Bears win this Sunday?
Going into halftime, I was thinking Nick Foles, but after that, things got a little better. But you talk about a lot of sports. Well, it was a red letter day because the Cubs won and the Sox won. The Cubs won 12-0, being a no-hitter, Alec Mills.
Absolutely.
And the Sox now have the best record in the American League, by the way, with a 5-2 win. So all the way around, I hope Thursday is the last time we ever have all those sports together on the same day because of the reason that they had to be played on the same day this year.
Absolutely.
But it's good. And the NFL, everything looked normal except for the empty stands. So, and the production of the broadcast seemed fairly normal. So that's gone well so far. So we hope it continues.
Absolutely. And then I got to bring in the amazing Jerry Riles. Jerry, know you had some thoughts on the Bears win and this epic sports week in general.
I did. I have maybe one thought.
What's that?
I have one thought.
Just one?
Yeah, just one. Thank God they won, marvelous one. Thank God they won. You remember the White Sox? You talk about the White Sox, and congratulations to the best team in Chicago, baseball-wise. That, of course, being the Chicago White Sox on the South Side. But do you remember the White Sox, the 77 club with the South Side Hitman? Yeah, and the 83 club, that was the Winning Ugly club. Mm-hmm. That was today for the Chicago Bears, Winning Ugly. Are you kidding me? A win is a win, as they say, and you can only play who's on your schedule. And the Detroit Lions and Matthew Stafford were on the schedule for the Chicago Bears to open up the 2020 campaign. And, Lauren,
It was
by the
tight.
skin of our teeth.
Yes,
Yeah. Well,
absolutely. And then they let Adrian Peterson run up. I'm like, what? But we still prevailed.
I mean, going up to the Fuller interception, it was almost time to walk away and take a nap.
Yeah.
But it was over, but the Fuller interception turned things around.
It certainly did. Those highlights you heard to open up the fastest hour in sports conversation, Fox Sports courtesy, and of course Dick Stockton on the call there. It was a pretty interesting football game, to say the least. But Lauren, as you stated, and Marvelous, I certainly understand and I get it. But we've been talking about getting back to some sort of normalcy.
It was real normal for a minute, huh?
It was really, really just cool and refreshing to sit down on a Sunday afternoon after going to church and saying my Hail Marys and my novenas, to sit down at 12 o'clock high noon, turn on the tube, and watch some football on the National Football League level in 2020. It was just a breath of fresh air, and it was refreshing that we have football. The first, oh my God, the first.
Right. I mean, it was different because there was no preseason, so it was like you hadn't really had time to evaluate the players or the teams, even in a practice session. Everything was behind a cloak and closed doors up till now.
And so that's why it was really, really exciting and really, really special to get an opportunity to finally get to see some real hardcore football. I was beside myself, and I'd love to hear from the both of you. But just to watch some college football yesterday, that was that. I seriously, Lauren, Marvelous. I had to pinch myself.
Yeah.
I literally had to pinch myself and say, are we really watching college football on Saturday afternoon? And then are we really watching pro football on Sunday afternoon?
Yeah.
I literally had to pinch myself.
Thursday, too. But and you speak about the college, a lot of the tournaments, a lot of the individual matches are being postponed because a lot of the players are coming down with COVID. I think Auburn's game is going to be postponed. You could see several games have to be postponed, which is inevitable.
Sure. I mean,
these college campuses.
the players live together, unlok the pros.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And these college campuses are just rampant with
the Petri dish.
Parties and I mean, wow, this is going to be interesting to see how they're going to finish this season.
No question about it. And if you want to join in, the Chicago Bears, they get a win 27-23 over the Detroit Lions and Matthew Stafford. Matt Nagy is 5-0 against the Detroit Lions. And of course, Mitchell Trubisky, who got the start, and we'll get a chance to talk about him and his numbers, but he got the start and he hasn't lost to the Detroit Lions either. Almost. He hasn't lost to them either. But a win is a win, as they say, and it was great that the Chicago Bears were able to kick off the 2020 season with a 27-23 victory on the road against the Detroit Lions. Very, very refreshing, and of course, it was great to hear those highlights. But again, had it not been for 21 points scored in the fourth quarter, we certainly will be crying in our beers and hanging our heads low. But before we do that, you mentioned all the sports that took place on Thursday, and talk about again. Kicking off the National Football League, Thursday Night Football, two superior quarterbacks who are actually getting paid for their performance.
Yes, they are.
Oh, man, that was just very, very refreshing just to see that. But you forgot about the female portion of sports and the history-making performance that took place, the U.S. Open.
Absolutely.
Unbelievable.
Unreal.
Congratulations to her.
Yes, Naomi.
Congratulations to her.
She killed it. She was down so badly, and I was just like, okay, this is over. But you never want to count her out because she has that resilience that we just really haven't seen. I mean, it's just amazing. And for her to come from behind like she did, and she sent out a tweet saying that, her ancestors' blood runs through her veins, and don't ever count her out because of that. And obviously, she's been wearing masks to represent the people who were unjustifiably killed and murdered by the police, as well as Aubrey as well. And so, she's a powerhouse. She's a powerhouse. We all root for her, and she is, so young. Many more years to come and many more performances to come. But the way she pulled out that win was just, I couldn't believe it. Yeah, it was unbelievable.
It was fantastic to watch, and it's the thing that I love about her. She is of mixed race. She is of Japanese descent, and her father is Haitian descent, and she's just a beautiful young lady, 22 years of age. But what I love about her is the fact that she really has no expression.
Yeah.
I mean, she showed a little bit of emotion,
Yes.
during some of the crucial plays, the crucial, volleys back and forth. And of course, when she won, she let out of an exasperation, and she showed a little bit more of emotion. But for the most part, this young lady is shy. She is just a doll. She's a sweetheart. And it's interesting because she reminds me of my daughter, who's 20 years of age at the University of Illinois. And when Naomi won, I actually took a picture and sent it down to my daughter because they seem like they're twins or whatever. But the young lady is just fantastic, and I love her mental state, Lauren. She talked about, of course, with her ancestors and everything, but she said when she was down 6-1 to Victoria, she said, hey, listen, it was all about me. I was fighting myself inside. And she said, it was about me changing my attitude. She says, I had to change my attitude. And that's what I worked myself through, and that's why I came away with my third U.S. Open title. So congratulations to the young lady, Marvelous.
She was down 6. She lost the first set 6-1.
Yeah, she
to
did.
Victoria Azarenka, who, by the way, knocked Serena Williams out in the semifinals, who was a local favorite, obviously. And also on the men's side, it's quite interesting, too. They're still playing the finals match as we speak between Thiem and Zverev, however you pronounce that.
God bless you.
Yeah, right, bless me. But this might be the first time you didn't have Federer, Nadal, or Djokovic in the finals, in my memory, because 2 didn't show up and 1 got kicked out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And you know what? I guess the judge regarding that was hitting the throat.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was inadvertent, but it hit her pretty hard.
It certainly did, and I think she was receiving some sort of like death threats or something, and said it was her fault. She was standing there. She was standing there. God bless her. But you know what? It is just a breath of fresh air once again to get an opportunity to get back to some sort of normalcy and sit down and watch some sports. Man, it's just really, really cool. And as Marvelous talked about, congratulations to Alec Mills for the Chicago Cubs with their 12-0 victory over the Milwaukee Brewers up in Milwaukee. The guy throws a no-hitter. A no-hitter. The first time a Cub no-hitter since 2016. That, of course, Jake Arrieta. I think it's the 19th no-hitter in Cub history. So congratulations to the guy. And what a hill that he's climbed to get to the point to where he is.
Walk on to Tennessee Martin.
Yeah.
In a normal year, I would have been there. And for the last 8 years, I've been in Milwaukee for almost every Cubs series.
Yeah.
Well, do you remember the last no-hitter the Cubs pitched there? It was against Houston, and when Houston was under a hurricane problem, and Zambrano did it.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
And Arrieta's had 2, but
Yeah. But congratulations to them. The Cubs improved to 28-20. They've been struggling over the past few weeks. Of course, Javi Baez has been struggling as well. It was just an interesting game watching it yesterday. And of course, the Cubs, for some reason, seem to have gotten upset. They got mad and they came out and the bats exploded. The runs came across the plate.
Against Hader, of all people.
Exactly. Yeah. That was an interesting game because they what was it, 2 base hits, 2 home runs, and Jay Hay with a 3-run shot, I believe it was.
And lefty on lefty, which is usually, in many cases, to put in a righty there.
Exactly. So the Cubs, they woke up last night and it carried over today, and they won at 12-0, improved their mark to 28-20 as we close in the final 2 weeks of baseball for the regular season. And we got two teams in the Chicago market that are in first place.
That's exciting.
The White Sox are exciting. There's no question about it. 30-16 with a 5-2 victory over the Detroit Tigers today. So all in all, as far as Chicago sports are concerned, the Bears, winners. Cubs, winners. Sox, winners. You're listening to WCPT 820 AM, the Rewind Sports 60. That means you're a winner as well. Do you want to jump in and give us a call? As Lauren told you, our number is 773. What is it again? 763-9278, 773-763 WCPT. It's the fastest hour in sports conversation. And real quick, as far as Mitchell Trubisky's performance is concerned, love to get both your feedback. We're going to get an opportunity, hopefully, to talk to the 10-year veteran, former Chicago Bear safety, known as the 17th letter in the alphabet, Q, Quentin Demps. Hopefully we'll get a chance to talk with him before we're out of here because he loves Mitchell Trubisky. But Trubisky, 20 of 36, 242 yards and 3 touchdowns. Of course, the big quarter, the fourth quarter, the Bears scored 21 points after trailing 23-6. And it looked like Detroit and Matthew Stafford were going to run away with this one. But the Detroit Lions, they had some breakdown on the defensive side of the ball in the secondary, and Mitchell Trubisky and the Bears offense were able to capitalize. Lauren, what was your thoughts watching the first half and then watching the second half unfold as far as the Bears were concerned?
Well, the first half, I mean, the pressure was on Mitchell Trubisky, obviously. Everybody was looking at him really closely to see, okay, what are we working with, and why in the world did they select him over Nick Foles to have that starting spot? So, as things went as they have gone in recent history with the Bears, you started to think, here we go again, another repeat of last season. And fortunately, he turned things around. He got out of the pocket a little bit, did some things that really showed, I think, something different than I've normally seen from him. A little bit, yeah, because generally they would have lost that game, I think.
Can you pinpoint something that you noticed differently this game compared to in the past with Mr. Trubisky?
I think it's Nick Foles breathing down his neck. I think that's what's changed for him in terms of do or die. There is a second option, and he's standing right over there. So let me get it together and let me pull my resources and everything that he has at his disposal. Amazing defense. He had, was able to make some plays with some of his receivers as well as with the running backs as well, and the tight ends. I mean, use your resources, use your weapons. And so he was able to do that in the final fourth quarter, turn that thing around, and we came home with the win.
Yeah, Anthony Miller, 4 of 76 for 19 yards and a big touchdown. Allen Robinson with a big catch, 5 receptions for 74 yards, 14.8 average on the day. So you're absolutely right as far as Mitchell Trubisky teaming up. And we can't forget teaming up with Jimmy Graham, also the tight end that this offense calls for, and a tight end that has been missing. And teaming up. Jimmy Graham is a great security blanket for Mitchell Trubisky, but he was. Now keep in mind, it's not a top tier defense as far as the Detroit Lions are concerned. So I'm glad that Mitchell Trubisky had success.
And the O-line looked good, too.
Well, yeah, they did for the most part. Marvelous, what did you think?
I mean, I think the O-line did look good, but here's the thing that I noticed. Those 2 passes from the 2-yard line and the 1-yard line, it was really good touch to Wims and Graham. I mean, I don't think I've seen that kind of touch from him. And even that last pass to Miller for the winning touchdown, it was right over the defender. I mean, it was almost like, a perfect pass. And I haven't seen too many perfect passes like that from Trubisky in years past, so I think his touch was very good. And the offensive line helped tremendously. He was only sacked once, and he sort of was scrambling on that one. So, I mean, the O-line was big, and they really, again, had no running game to speak of. So
the Bears?
I mean, not tremendous. They had more than they usually do. What did Montgomery have, like 60 yards or
64 yards, 13 carries, 64 yards. Tariq Cohen, 7 carries for 41 yards. Both of them averaging almost 5 yards per carry.
What would they normally do from the 1 and the 2-yard line in past years? They probably wouldn't pass, is my point.
Yeah, here's the thing regarding my perspective on watching Mitchell Trubisky in this 27-23 victory. He didn't look consistent. You talk about the passes that he threw late in the game, and they look pinpoint. But if you watch earlier, there were a couple passes that he made that he was clearly behind the receiver or underthrew the receiver, and luckily he didn't come away with an INT in this football game. There was one pass. There were a couple passes that were actually batted down. And before the Weems touchdown where it was batted down in his face by a Detroit Lion corner, and had he held on to it, he had nothing but pay dirt. So Mitchell Trubisky looked a little bit inconsistent, and I do understand the fact that it is the first game of the regular season. But and Q, hopefully he'll get a chance to join us. He and I were texting back and forth during the game, and he said that he was concerned about Mitchell Trubisky because he looked inconsistent, and he looked at his body language, and he said that Mitchell didn't seem confident. And when you look at his mannerisms and the way that he carried himself on the football field, he really didn't. And that was kind of scary to me for the simple fact, as we watch the 2 quarterbacks that were passed over for Mitchell Trubisky on Thursday night and Patrick Mahomes and Deshaun Watson, you saw the enthusiasm and the excitement and the exhilarating, feel.
You saw the money in their bank account.
Yeah, and maybe that's it. They're saying, hey, I got paid. I'm going out there just to let it all hang out and have fun. You watch Drew Brees, of course, after the Bears game, but we had a chance to watch a little bit of Drew Brees and Tom Brady, and I just saw the fire in their eyes. I saw leaders on a football field directing their players, directing their teammates, and saying, we're going to take charge. Now, albeit Tom Brady threw 2 interceptions after rushing for his first touchdown as a Tampa Bay Buccaneer in the game against the Saints. Last time I heard, the Saints were up 17-7.
34-17 with 4 minutes left.
But the point that I'm trying to make is the fact that I did not see that fire in Mitchell Trubisky's eyes. I did not see that fire in his demeanor. And Lauren, you make a point. Nick Foles is breathing down this kid's neck. And to me, he did not react in a way that he felt like, hey, I got to let it all hang out here. Now, there's more to come. There's no question about it. And he was able to get things together in that fourth quarter. But if Mitchell Trubisky, and here's the thing, this is what's scary to me. It really is scary. And they didn't have training camp or anything like that, correct? We just watched Mitchell Trubisky. The guy 20 of 36 for 242 yards and 3 touchdowns. If the competition between Nick Foles and Mitchell Trubisky was that close that they couldn't really make a decision, and remember that Matt Nagy said we're going to sit everybody in a room, we're going to watch all the tape, and we're going to watch everything we have to before we make a decision. If it was that close between these two guys, Chicago Bear fans, you guys sitting down, you girls sitting down, you think this game was ugly and we got to win? It's going to be, and if the pandemic doesn't stop it, it's going to be a long-ass season. Because if Mitchell Trubisky is the starting quarterback because they couldn't make a decision because it was too close in the competition, what the hell are they saying about Nick Foles? Come on, man. Help me out here.
Hey, we won, Jerry. Dang. Let me put some positivity on this thing.
Okay. Just to change the
subject. Lauren.
Hey, Jerry, just to change the subject, shouldn't be lost that Cairo Santos made the 2 field goals and 2 extra points in a 4-point win.
And listen, you know what? And I told you, I went to church. I said my Hail Marys. I said my novenas. I said a couple novenas for our guy, Eddie Pinheiro, who's out with the groin. He's 3 weeks out.
We need him.
Hey, I don't know if we need him, Lauren. Lauren. He may be on the sideline. He's on the sideline now. Right. He might be on the real sideline.
Jeez.
This kid, wow. What did you think of him?
Well, he did what he needed to do today. There was one point in time where they didn't want him to do a long field goal, which is kind of typical of Nagy. Early in the game, when they went for it on 4th down, it would have been a 50-something yard field goal. But the shorter ones he made, and that's important in a 4-point win, obviously.
No, it is. And I did think Eddie Pinheiro, and I hope that he's fine. And for some reason, it seemed like that's what Chicago is all about. It's about competition. We can never, ever just sign, seal, deliver a starter. And that's the other point I want to get across is the fact that
that's crazy.
Again, I mentioned Deshaun Watson. I mentioned Patrick Mahomes. I mentioned Drew Brees. I mentioned Tom Brady, Lamar Jackson. What's his numbers that he had today? Here's the deal. Those teams, those franchises, they look at their leader, their signal caller, and they feel confident, and they go, okay, we got somebody we can go to bat with. We got somebody we can go out there.
Yeah.
Cam Newton.
Jackson was only 20 of 25 for 275 yards today.
I don't know about you two, but and share with me. Here's the deal. With our guy, and I'm not trying to beat him up, Lauren. I'm not trying to beat him up, but I'm just saying.
I can't tell.
I'm just saying. I said I feel nervous, and let me know if you guys felt the same way. It felt to me like we were still supporting a rookie quarterback.
Oh, God.
We were praying for a rookie quarterback to have some success. Not a guy in his 3rd or 4th year, right?
Right.
Not that guy. To me, it felt like he was a rookie, and you were pulling for this rookie to have some success.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, you got guys who came in the league the same time as he came in the league. You got guys who came in after he came in the league. You got guys who've been here. They're the elder statesmen as far as the league is concerned. And they were leading their teams. They were showing fire. They were showing determination to win. Meanwhile, I'm sitting at home in the Hall of Fame room going, wow, I felt like I was cheering for a rookie.
Yeah.
What about you?
Also, too, I wanted to get you guys' thoughts on the defense, too, because Adrian Peterson, he had 94 yards on 14 carries.
And he just signed him.
So it speaks to what you were saying in terms of the Bears in their thought process when they're looking at bringing in talent. He was available. And we don't even want to touch the quarterback conversation because it's like everybody who they possibly could have had a chance to take, they're doing phenomenally well. Except for us. And then they tried to do a Hail Mary and bring in Nick. And that whole experiment hasn't worked out particularly well, in my opinion, seeing as though I thought he was going to run away with it and be the starter, be named the starter. So questionable.
Yeah. Well, Peterson looked pretty good for a 35-year-old. He got 93 yards today.
Yeah, he looked very, very good, and he looked deadly. And think about it, ladies and gentlemen, and we're going commercial free in the fastest hour sports conversation here at the Rewind Sports 60 WCPT 820 AM. Our Sunday Bears post game show. If you want to join us, our number is 773-763-9278, 773-763 WCPT. Here's the scary thing about it, Lauren. You said that, hey, we won. Take it easy, Jerry. Lay off of them. Give them a break. Listen. Marvelous. We're 11 seconds from crying in our beer. If Swift makes the catch in the end zone, if he makes a catch in the end zone and don't drop it, the Bears lose this football game.
Right. They had a chance to win it after we took the lead. Absolutely.
They lose this football game against Detroit. Now, the only reason I think we lost the football game, that's one, because this guy drops the football, but two, last year, the Detroit Lions, they lost how many games? 7 games, I think, in the second half.
Right.
They were up like they were today, and they end up losing 7 games in the last half, the last frame, the last quarter. In 2018, I think it was somewhere around 11 games that they lost. So they have a way of self-destructing. Yeah. They don't play a complete 60 minutes of football, that being the Detroit Lions and their coaching staff. So the Bears had to hang on, but it's not. They got a lot of work to do, Lauren. In my opinion, they have a lot of work to do.
Now look at our schedule. So they play the Giants next,
Falcons,
the Falcons, the Colts. We can win all those games now.
Wait a minute. What are you drinking over there? I want some.
Let me finish. October 8th, we got a major problem coming in October 8th, okay? So, let's see what they do. We know they're going to win next week, pretty much.
Really? How do we know that? What did the Giants do, Marvelous?
They
play this tomorrow night against the Steelers.
Yes, that's right. That's exactly right. Hey, Lauren.
Atlanta ain't doing nothing. The Colts,
Wait a minute. What is wrong with you? What are you drinking over there?
What? We got a chance.
Based on what?
A chance because these teams are not blockbuster teams.
And we are.
We
are. Let's put some positivity behind the Bears.
No, I want to put some positivity. I know. I want to put some positivity behind the Bears.
Colts have Phillip Rivers now, by the way.
Yeah, but I want to be. Here's the deal.
Not today.
Lauren, I want to put some positivity behind the Bears win. I do. I want to do that.
Please do.
But our defense is supposed to be our strong point. Right?
Don't go there.
Where was Chuck Pagano? Help me out here. Where was Chuck Pagano?
Where was he last season?
Where was Chuck Pagano today? Where was he? Because our defense looked like it was Darrell Bevel. The guy, he was calling plays left and right, just dissecting our Bears defense left and right. That's unacceptable.
It is.
That is unacceptable. And this is the game tape that you're going to put out for the Giants to dissect for next week. Mm-hmm. You put this tape out there for these guys to take a look at and say, this is what we do. And here's the problem. The defense. they're going to play much better. There's no question about it.
Mm-hmm.
But the point of the matter is, if Mitchell Trubisky doesn't step up his game, not one notch, not two notches, but three notches, you cannot have that defense of the Chicago Bears out on that football field 30, 31, 32, 34, 35, 37 minutes. You cannot have them out there on the football field like that because they are going to run out of gas.
That's not right.
They're going to get gas. And a good offensive team is going to come in, a good offensive quarterback is going to come in and dissect the Bears defense the way that they've been doing over the past few years. So, with the exception of the 12-4 year. But the point of the matter is, Mitchell Trubisky has to be a better game manager. Yeah. And Matt Nagy has to be a better signal caller. And from what we have seen after one game, albeit it's one game during the pandemic era, there's still some work to be done. There's still some work to be done.
Oh, yeah.
And if their goal is to get to the Super Bowl, the only thing they have to do is take a look at that Kansas City Chiefs team, and they didn't play their best football on Thursday night. But they look like a machine operating, moving the ball down the field.
Yeah.
Now, the quarterback is the MVP of the Super Bowl, and I get all of that. But if that's what you're modeling yourself after, you're a long, long ways off, in my opinion. You're a long ways off.
It's scary.
Just made me think how Foles was an MVP of a Super Bowl, too.
Yes, Foles is right. And you know what? I got to give credit. I don't know if it was one of the NFL experts on ESPN last week that said the Bears, first of all, they had no choice but to make Mitchell Trubisky their starting quarterback because, of course, they put all their eggs in this kid's basket, and they're going to give him every ounce of opportunity to succeed. I said this last week. They have to give him every opportunity to succeed. And I'm going to tell you guys, the smoke and mirrors is what we just saw today. These 21 points the Bears put up in the fourth quarter today, smoke and mirrors. It is smoke and mirrors. So don't get it twisted. Don't get it twisted. Mitch Trubisky is not the type of quarterback that you think that he is just because the Bears escaped with a victory against the Detroit Lions and he had the success, i.e., so to speak, that he had today. Smoke and mirrors. But if the Bears are trying to get to the next level, that, of course, deep in the playoffs and, of course, to the Super Bowl, they need to take the tape from Kansas City and just watch what happened against the Texans on Thursday night and how that offense operated and how their quarterback operated and work toward trying to get to that level. Today, it didn't reflect any of that, in my opinion. If you think that it did, if you think that the Bears are on their way, 16-0, our number here, 773-763-9278, 773-763-WCPT. We go out to our TR60 hotlines, ladies and gentlemen. He laced them up as a beloved number 51 in your program. He's Bruce Heron in our heart. He's on our TR60 hotline. Bruce, how are you, man? Welcome back to the Rewind Sports 60, man. What was your thoughts on the Bears' victory? Hey, Super Bowl 16-0, Bruce. What do you think?
Hey man, we're going straight to the NFC Championship game.
That'll boy,
That's what I'm talking about.
There you go.
See.
Hey man, the Bears. Hey, as we talk about, a win is a win, and you just have to play who's ever on your schedule. They happen to be the Detroit Lions and the Bears. Matt Nagy is 5-0 against them. Mitchell Trubisky hasn't lost to the Detroit Lions, and the Bears are trending in the right direction, man. 27-23, 21 points in the fourth quarter. What did you think of the Bears' performance this afternoon?
Well, you know what? I am thrilled. Trust me, I'm thrilled for the win. But you know, that was a gift horse, man. I mean, Detroit had an opportunity to put that game away at the end of the game, and guy couldn't hold on to the ball. We made some mistakes. We made some mistakes throughout the game defensively. And, you know, the first half, man, Mitch he was not impressive at all. The fourth quarter, he came through and made some nice throws, and receivers looked like they woke up and helped him out. But for the most part, I'm happy. Trust me, I am happy. I'm thrilled as all get out. But, it left a little to be desired. So.
Hey, man, I wanted to ask before you got on. I talked about the the Hall of Fame, future Hall of Fame quarterbacks, and Tom Brady and Drew Brees. Of course, those teams squared off in the late game on Sunday. And, of course, you talk about the two young guys that just got paid, and Patrick Mahomes and Deshaun Watson. When I talk about those fours, and even Lamar Jackson today, and Cam Newton with the New England Patriots, but when I talk about those caliber of athletes, those caliber of NFL quarterbacks, today and on Thursday, I saw some fire in their eyes. I saw them being demonstrative on the field and on the sideline. I saw them yelling and screaming, and spit shouldn't be coming out their mouth because of the pandemic and everything, but the spit was flying out their mouth, man. They were geeked up. When we looked at our guy, at least when I looked at our guy, and Mitchell Trubisky, good old number 10 for the beloved Chicago Bears, I saw a kid that I thought he was like a rookie, and I was sitting on a doofo in the Hall of Fame room, man, and I felt like I was cheering for a rookie, hoping that he had a good, that he survived. Am I the only one that felt like that, man? What did you think? What did you think when you saw his eyes in the huddle and saw his demeanor on the sideline? Did he give you that encouragement that he's going to lead us to victory?
Well, no. But you know what? I'm going to tell you something. You gotta look at the whole picture, and when you put the whole package together, and it's the coaches. The coaches, when it comes to a quarterback, the offensive coordinator and the head coach, they have direct contact and communication with the quarterback. And that quarterback tends to take on the
characteristics,
the mood and the mentality of the coach. And trust me, I'm not trying to take up for Mitch, but I just think that there's more that's at stake here, and there's more of a problem than just Mitch. The first three quarters, Mitch was Mitch. The fourth quarter, he came out and he was just a different guy. How do you explain that? Mm-hmm. I don't know.
Well, Bruce,
it's puzzling, but I'm telling you, the Bears playing Detroit and squeaking by with the win. There's no way in the world they can get to an NFC championship game or division championship.
Well, yes, sure there is. The only way they can do it is if they can buy some tickets, just like hopefully the rest of us can buy some tickets. That's the only way they're going, Bruce Heron. We're on with good old number 51, Bruce Heron, played with the beloved for 5 years in the greatest city in the world, that, of course, Chicago, Illinois. Here's the deal. Part of the reason that Mitch Trubisky had the success that he had, Bruce, and I think you can attest to this, is the fact that the Lions, they had a depleted unit. They didn't have all their starting guys on that defensive side of the ball, so Mitchell Trubisky and Matt Nagy were able to take advantage of that. And I said it was smoke and mirrors and fool's gold as far as this win is concerned, but a win is a win.
Right. Well, you know what? There's one thing about the Detroit Lions, and they've had this stigma for a long time. I mean, years, that they shoot themselves in the foot.
Mm-hmm.
all the time. I mean, there have been years where the Detroit Lions have had the talent to win the division and go deep into the playoffs, but they always find a way to just blow it. And boy, did they blow it today when that guy dropped that ball in the end zone.
Swift.
That was tough.
Yeah. Swift drops.
But the Detroit Lions have a tendency to do things like that. And, I don't know what it's going to take to get them over the hump. I've always been a big fan of Detroit. Of course, because of my Chicago Bears. But, there have been years, man, where the Lions have had some damn good talent and just could not get over the hump. So today was another one one of those examples.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Bruce, Lauren here. I just wanted to switch gears
Hey,
a
Lauren.
bit. Hey, and ask you, I don't know if you got a chance to check out the game Thursday, the Chiefs versus the Texans.
Oh,
but
yeah.
so they came together in a moment of unity, and the Kansas Chiefs fans actually booed the players while they came together in that moment of unity. And J.J. Watt basically said he didn't understand that. He didn't understand that. What were your thoughts when you heard about the fans booing and J.J. Watt's response to it?
Well, you know what? I wholeheartedly agree with J.J. Watt because I couldn't understand it either. I could not understand it. And you know what? It's just an example of what Donald Trump has done to this country. And, you know, I'm telling everybody, anybody that's listening, whether you agree with my politics or not, that this is one America. We're all in this thing together. When 9/11 happened, I'm telling you, for months, we all came together. There was less crime in the streets. There was unity. It didn't make any difference whether we were black or brown or purple or green. It didn't make any difference. You know what? We were all hurting. And absolutely devastated and shocked. And we came together as a country. We always need to do that, even though our politics don't always match each and every one of us. You know, we can't let a guy like Trump come in and divide us like that. That is just asinine. It is absolutely asinine. You know, it just makes me sick. It makes my heart hurt when I see how this guy has it's us against them, those Democrats, those liberals, those this, those that. I mean, are you kidding me? We're all Americans. I mean, this is the United States of America, the greatest country in the world.
Mm-hmm.
We got to kill it, leading the damn thing. That's stupid. Get rid of the butthole. I don't give a damn if he's a Republican, Independent, or Democrat, or something else. Somebody with a brain, with half a brain. You know what? A squirrel would be better than Donald Trump.
All right. Put a squirrel in there.
Tell us how you really feel.
Wow.
I love it.
Hey.
Oh, my God.
Hey, man, Bruce, let me tell you something. I didn't know what kind of day I was going to have today, and I knew it was going to be a glorious day, an exciting day, and I knew the Bears were going to bring some good attention one way or the other to my day, but I never expected or anticipated you say a squirrel would be better in the White House than the guy that we had. I didn't even.
I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you. Hey, listen to this. I've got one of my very closest friends. His name is Tom Shapento. Now, Tom is from Iowa. He grew up in Iowa. You know, I always call him my corn-fed redneck from Iowa.
Mm.
But you know what? This guy has got a heart of gold.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a heart of gold, and he lays it out there. He understands. He truly understands, and tries to understand the plight of the black man, and how we came to be, and the struggles that we've had through. You know, I can't tell you how many hundreds of years.
Sure.
And he's very sympathetic to it. And we talk about politics on a regular basis. And you know, he says some pretty vulgar and rough things about Donald Trump. But you know what? He wears his feelings on his sleeve, and he understands. He's very, very supportive. You know, I just wish people would take the time to try to understand how we came to be, how our ancestors came to be, and the strife that we all had to go through in order to get to where we are today.
Well, you know what, Bruce Heron? And we appreciate you joining us on the fastest hour of sports conversation, the Rewind Sports 60. I got to share with you, Lauren Cox, and of course the marvelous one, Dan Marver, and everyone that's listening. The world as we know it it's over. The world is ended. It's done. It's over. And I don't mean to alarm you out there. I don't mean to get you all ruffled. I'm just telling you what the truth is. And the reason I make that statement and I say that it's the truth is because I'm blessed. We're blessed to be in the greatest city in the world, in my opinion. But I live in the neighboring suburbs here in Wheeling. And the reason I say the world is coming to an end, it's over with, because the Trumpsters were on Milwaukee Avenue and Dundee Road in Wheeling protesting today.
Protesting what?
I don't know, Lauren. I asked the Marvelous when I said, hey, is the president coming to town? Why are they out there? I had no idea why they were out there.
What were they protesting?
I have no idea. That's why I said the world is coming to the end, because if they're going to protest in Wheeling, it's over. I had no idea. I go, wait, I missed the memo? Is he coming to town? What happened? What's going on? It's unbelievable.
I'm gonna tell you this much. I'll tell you this much. I can tell you right now why they're protesting. Because they see Donald Trump getting his butt waxed come November 3rd.
Hey.
And you know what? The guy, dude, don't get me started. I mean,
all right.
Don't get me started.
Hey, man.
You know what? I'm a country boy from South Texas. And I understand. I grew up, man. My grandparents, my great grandparents, we used to have conversations. They had a conversation with me about how they came to be and about the land that the family owned and all this stuff. And I'm telling you something, man. It was a true struggle, and it helped me to understand that as I grow and get older and raise my family, I have to continuously educate them on where I came from, how I came to be, so that they have a clear understanding of how important it is that they keep the family structure moving forward. And, white folks don't have to do that shit. We have to do that.
See?
We have to do it.
Yeah.
And, I'm not talking about white people because, I'm going to sound a little white, but some of my best friends are white.
Stop it. Stop it.
Me too.
Stop it. Marvelous, what are your comments?
Well, it's going to be election of 51 days, and it's either going to be the guy that you just mentioned or his opponent, Punxsutawney Joe. So I don't know. Either way, it's going to be a problem, I think.
Well, you know what? At the end of the day, what you call him?
Punxsutawney Joe. Think about
it. I don't even want to get into it. And Lauren brings up a great question: the fact that we're all in this together. And the one reason I love sports is the fact that, for 2.5 hours, 3 hours, 3.5 hours, or whatever the sport may be, we all can come together collectively, and we can root for our beloved Bears. I know television sets all around the city of Chicago were turned on at 12 o'clock noon on Fox 32 locally to watch the Chicago Bears take on the Detroit Lions. And the only allegiance that we have is that we support, for the most part, our teams.
Right.
As far as baseball is concerned, you got the north side and the south side, but the fact of the matter, and hopefully we'll see the World Series with both those clubs in it. So Cubs, they got to pick it up because the White Sox are going. It's called Jackmaster Funk over on the south side. As far as Jackmaster Funk, I mean, Jose Abreu is just jacking the ball all over the place. It's unbelievable. But the point of the matter is, sports.
You got Abreu and all that young talent.
Unbelievable.
Oh my goodness, man.
Let's just hope Ricky Renteria don't screw it up. But here's the deal.
Beautiful sight.
Sports brings us together. And when Lauren said, and J.J. Watt said, hey, you know what? It doesn't make any sense for people to boo unity. It makes no sense to boo unity because at the end of the day, and you're absolutely right, Bruce, when you talk about 9/11, George Bush was in office, and he was a Republican. I'm not a Republican, and I wasn't a big fan of his. But when 9/11 occurred, You're absolutely right.
It didn't mean
But we all came together, and we said, "Hey," and I want to cuss like you, but I'm saying we all came together and say, and what did Big Papi say? What did Big Papi say? What did Big Papi say when they had the marathon? He said, "You don't F with us," and that's what Americans did on 9/11. You don't F with us. You don't do it. And the same applies, man. Hey, listen, politics is politics. It's healthy, it's needed, and it's good. But when it becomes abused, and it's one-sided at times, but when it becomes abused, that it's dividing us as a people, and it's getting down to literally, people claiming lives. That's overboard. It's overboard.
So
So
I'm gonna tell you something. I am totally convinced that this guy that's sitting in the White House right now, his whole intent is to peel this country apart, leaf by leaf, layer by layer, and just destroy us. That's it. There's nothing else that I can say. This I haven't been alive long enough to understand or to picture anybody in that leadership position that has been so destructive to the people in this country. And I'm talking about black, Hispanic, white, Asian, you name it. This guy is just, it's not, trust me, y'all, it's not about black and white. It's not about Republican, Democrat. Yeah, we've got different views about how things should be run and all this and that. But the truth of the matter is that we are all one people.
that's it.
We're all one people.
That's it.
And you know what? And just because the color of my skin is black doesn't mean I'm any less than you are. I'm striving to do the same things that you are, and that is to raise my family, give them the best education I possibly can, and watch them mature and grow, while I get older.
And you're right.
And that's what it's all about.
Yeah. And Bruce,
That's what it's about.
I very well said, and I don't mean to make light of it, but at the end of the day, we all just want to get paid like Patrick Mahomes. We all just want to get paid.
That's right.
Hey,
right.
Bruce Herron, thank you so very much for joining us and taking time on this Bears post game show. We really appreciate it, man. We'll be talking with you next week, and let's hope the Bears can put together another victory against the New York Giants, my good friend.
Go Bears.
You're the best. We'll talk to you. Bruce Herron on our TR60 hotline. Ladies and gentlemen, it's the fastest hour in sports conversation. Lauren, before we get out of here, any last thoughts and words?
Well, excited about the NBA Finals. Had some interesting games.
They're not going to cheat, are they?
No cheating in the bubble.
They're not going to cheat for that guy.
No cheating in the bubble. LeBron
sure?
was killing it.
They
fair and
ain't
square.
gonna cheat for him, man,
Undeniable.
are
He don't need nobody to cheat for him.
Yeah, okay.
So, yeah.
Marvelous.
You're right. You got the Lakers advance, and you got Boston and Miami, and then they're going to have a Game 7 Clippers and Nuggets.
Yeah.
So those are the teams left in the NBA. Should be interesting.
Hey, thanks to both of you for a fabulous fast hour sports conversation. Bears post game show every Sunday. Hopefully we can get through this season. Of course, thanks to our esteemed producer. He is the one, the only Devin Tingle. Jerry Riles, folks, have a great rest of your Sunday. We'll see you on Comcast on Wednesday at 7 p.m. Channel 17, Channel 19, Channel 35. And, of course, check us out on Facebook, YouTube, all the social media platforms. Have a great week, and we'll talk to you next Sunday after a Bear victory. Go Bears!
The preceding program, the Rewind Sports 60, is sponsored by Jerry Riles and to the extent applicable, his guests.
You can see we're live here at Soldier Field along the lakefront. The Bears kick off their 2013 season against the Cincinnati Bengals and Marvin Lewis crew. They're just about ready to kick off. This place is a rock-solid madhouse. We're going to see what the outcome will be, but now it is the start of the 2013 football season for Mark Trestman and the Chicago Bears. Folks, it's showtime. It's kickoff time. Let's get it on. What is your prediction for the outcome of this game?
Bears 23, Bengals 21.
We'll see if it comes true, my friend. Enjoy the game.
All right, we will. I think I'll just start out by really thanking our fans for really amping it up in the second half and helping our football team. It was a great win for the city of Chicago and the Chicago Bears, and it was a very good team win for our football team. We knew it was going to be a 60-minute game.
It was a great win. It felt like a playoff game early, to start the season off against a Cincinnati Bengals team who's really good, fast and physical. It was a great challenge for us. We knew it was going to be 4 quarters. Like Coach Trestman says, 58 minutes plus 2, and that's exactly what it was. So it was a big win for us, a total team win.
There's a little bit of nerves throughout the locker room, including me. Just let's get this one going. There's a lot of question marks. How are we going to do on offense? Are the plays going to work? Are we going to block them? Am I going to complete balls? So to go out there and it wasn't pretty, it wasn't perfect. We didn't think it was going to be. Made plays when we had to make plays. In the fourth quarter, line played great. So there's a lot of positive. There's some stuff to build on, but it's out of the way, and we can get the rest of the season on the way.
Jay was amazing in the huddle. This guy, every play has so much going on. We had 4 or 5 different plays every single snap, and for him to, get us going, and he didn't know if we had any pre-snap penalties, and I don't think we did. And that's a testimony to his leadership and him really getting us where we're supposed to go.
Well, there were a lot of firsts happening inside of Soldier Field. Offensively, the Bears and Jay Cutler had 2 touchdown strikes, one to his tight end Martellus Bennett for his first as a Bear, the other to his favorite target Brandon Marshall. On the defensive side of the ball, Peanut Tillman finished where he left off in 2012 with 2 interceptions to help the team. And special teams got into the act as well. Robbie Gold kicked a 58-yard field goal to set a Bears all-time record. Once again, the Bears, they defeat the Cincinnati Bengals by a final of 24-21. Outside of Gate 1, Soldier Field along the lakefront, I'm Jerry Riles for UBM Chicago.
Man, y'all know the first play. Y'all know the first play. Bojack!
Yeah. DB Nation. Got Beehive with me. Got the great Deion Bush with me. Got little Dookie in the cut ready to split you up. We got Mr. DAC, Mr. Finish It All. I won't be last, but I will be first. We got my dog T. Gill, you feel me? OG, triple OG Trip. You know what I'm saying? Then we got my boy Smoke Dog. Woo, hey. I got Mr. Cal Fuller. I won't swing nothing but a golf club. Cal, you heard what they said about Tiger Woods. Even when he ain't working on the swing, he working on the swing now. My boy D Tizzle, you know what I'm saying? We bumming, you know what I mean? Got a camera in the cut, you know what I'm saying? Ready to shoot you up, you feel me? We got my boy Alex on the Gatorade. What is this called? The Gatorade scooter.
Let me move this antique helmet that you got. Hey, Dave, what type of helmet Jimmy got? Jimmy got a bowl. He really got his head with a face mask as a helmet. Iron Man, bro. Who, me? Come on, dude. Come on, dude. Come on, dude. Oh, man. Come on, it's custom.
Welcome, everyone, to another edition of the Sports Medicine Update, a weekly podcast by yours truly and the Honorable, the Incredible Dr. Chad Fadolis. Check in 3, 2, 1. Welcome, everyone, to another edition of the Sports Medicine Update, a weekly podcast hosted by yours truly, Jerry Riles, and, of course, the Honorable Dr. Chad Fadolis. Doc, how are you?
Having a great day, Jerry. Thanks. How about you?
I'm doing very well, and I got to tell you, I am ecstatic. I'm excited, as well as many others across the country, that we have some college and, as important, some pro football after watching the Kansas City Chiefs and the Houston Texans square off at Thursday Night Football to open up the 2020 NFL season. College football is just phenomenal to get an opportunity to sit down in the lazy boy and watch some competitive sports taking place. And hopefully we can continue this on, considering the pandemic and, coronavirus and COVID-19. But it's fantastic. And of course, we got two baseball teams who are currently in first place as we go down the stretch. Dog days of summer, as they say, September, and hopefully we'll have two teams in the playoffs as far as Major League Baseball is concerned. And I'm praying, Doc, I'm hoping maybe if the coast is clear, we get two Chicago teams battling for the World Series. So I'm doing good so far, as well as everyone around the country, I believe. Your response?
Yeah, honestly, I'm mostly just glad they're all healthy.
Well, I didn't mean to stun you or startle you with my excitement and my enthusiasm that competitive sports is back on television, but you're absolutely right. Again, with this pandemic taking place, the numbers have been fluctuating all across the board regarding the country, whether you're in the East Coast or the Midwest where we are, or the South or the West. Independently, the respective states, you can see the numbers going up and down. And I can say here in Illinois, I think for the most part, we've been doing fairly well. And let's hope that we can keep the numbers, leveled off. And we got the flu season coming up, Doc. So phase 2, as they have been talking about for the past 3 or 4 months, could be very, very serious regarding this pandemic. Foremost, you being in the medical industry and monitoring everything that's going on, how do you see this upcoming flu season with the coronavirus?
I think it's going to be fine. I think that, they're finding cross immunogenicity between a lot of these viruses. So just as the common cold results in some cross immunogenicity to COVID-19, I think it's going to be fine. I think that I think that people in general, particularly with the way this whole thing was represented when it started off, I think are in a little bit of a mindset to fear the worst. But I think the fear of the situation is far worse than the reality. And I don't think the fall is going to be bad either. I don't think the flu season is going to be bad.
Well, I hope you're right. And, in the world of sports, I think we can say, kudos to, the major league teams, whether it's the NBA in the bubble down in Orlando, whether it's the National Football League, who have tested, I believe, 64,000 players over an extended period of time, I think since the early part of August, and they've only reported 5 positive cases. Major League Baseball had a bump in the road, but they seem to have leveled off. We see what's going on in the National Hockey League being up in Canada. And of course, Major League Soccer have been able to maintain things as well. So I think if the respective leagues continue to stay on top of this, we can overcome it. And, the universities, they've experienced some bumps as far as numbers elevating around the country as particular universities. But they're trying to get a grasp on that as well. But all in all, I think if we do our respective responsible part and, just do the basic, wash your hands, wear the mask, practice social distancing 6 feet apart, I think definitely we can, clear this hurdle, overcome this obstacle, and, hopefully better days are coming. We get back to some sort of normalcy. I talked about the college football season getting underway. We know that there are some conferences around the country. The Big Ten, the Pac-12 have elected not to play, but there are other conferences that say, hey, we're going to move forward. We're going to continue to play, and we're going to protect our athletes. And we've seen some performances over the past week or so on a collegiate level. But there's also a case that was reported where I believe an offensive lineman out West, unfortunately, in California, succumb. And correct me if I'm wrong with the details, COVID related, which sent some red flags up around the country and around the college football world. Can you expound a little bit on that?
Yeah, I've looked at it, and as I say in all these cases, I have no inside information. All I know is what I read, and what is written is limited. So I really want to be careful not to make any inferences about things we don't know. But what has been reported repeatedly, it's a young man whose name is in the news. It's Jermaine Stevens, or Steffens, Stephen's, I think. Said to be the son of a lineman with the Pittsburgh Steelers, I think from the 90s. Right. And he goes to a college called the Division II school called, I believe, the California University of Pennsylvania. And what was written is that he was a defensive lineman and was listed at 6'3" and 355. Beyond that, I don't know information about comorbidities, pre-existing conditions. I don't know if he is one of the, it is said 6% of the people who died only from coronavirus are part of the 94% that died from that something else. I don't know any of that. I do know that among the risk factors, as is widely written, there's hypertension, there's diabetes, there's being heavy. So I don't know if his stats are what was listed online, but at 6'3" and 355 is a BMI of about 44. Now you can have a big BMI and be very muscular, and have a low body fat. But normal BMI is said to be less than 25, overweight 25 to 30, obese 30 to 35 usually, morbidly obese 35 to 40. Now, by that criterion, most competitive football players are obese, and they're not, because they're muscular. Having said that, 6'3" and 355 is pretty big. People that are heavier have a higher incidence of autoimmune problems. So, he clearly has one risk factor. And I don't know the circumstances. Sure. And I don't want to speculate. We've talked about this before. I do think, though, as I mentioned before, that I would like to see. So I think people should be playing to begin with. But among the people that are playing, I just think it's incumbent upon all the programs to do their darndest to protect the people who have risk factors. So I don't know his circumstance, but I feel badly. He clearly has one at least. And I mentioned a few weeks ago, of all the athletes in all the sports, what I'm most fearful of is football, because it's really the only sport among men, at least, where it's common to find people, often the linemen, that are heavy and have risk factors based on that. And so, I just think that it's really important that we get a handle on that. And if we think somebody has risk factors, I don't think there's anything wrong with letting the team play, but talk to people who have risk factors and say, look, we need to protect you. It's our obligation. Let people know and give them an opportunity to not play. Maybe even have some parameters around playing because people, these young guys will play no matter what. They're all pretty gung-ho. And sometimes, kind of with what I do, for orthopedics, we'll get people that are banged up, beat up, bad joints, and want to play. And we have to say, look, for your own good, we maybe need to pull in the reins a little.
Well, you know what? And this is the Sports Medicine Update, the weekly podcast with Dr. Chad Fedromas. Doc, from a medical perspective, I think you're right on point, and I think that sounds very good, very smart, and it's about staying healthy and protecting individuals. But on the other side of it, Doc, unfortunately, when you talk about these athletes, particularly playing football on a collegiate level and, of course, in the National Football League, we do know that a majority of these players are African American or Hispanic descent, black and brown players. And we do know, and you can attest to this as far as the genetic makeup, so to speak, they're more highly susceptible to these preconditioned, pre-existing conditions, whether it's diabetes or hypertension, or whatever the case may be. So they automatically go into this, athletics with a red flag, because just as an African American male myself, I know that I run a higher risk of getting diabetes or hypertension or high blood pressure, just because of my makeup. So now when you start to implement and say, hey, listen, you run a higher risk of getting this, and of course with corona, or with the virus, when you put it on charts, it doesn't look really good for you. So we're going to ask you not to participate in this, because you run a higher risk of succumbing to this virus and ultimately, God forbid, dying from it. So from a layman's perspective, that's why I'm sure a lot of authorities around the respective colleges, presidents, chancellors, and the NCAA, of course, will be thrown in as well. So, I mean, how do you combat that when that argument is presented to you based on what you just shared?
So, Jerry, it isn't that there's a racial predisposition. It's more a cultural thing. It's actually more socioeconomic, we think. So black and brown people have more diabetes and hypertension, but the reason they do is because there are higher levels of obesity. And I don't think that black people or brown people are more prone to be obese, but socioeconomically, people lower down on the scale, whether they're black or brown or white, the lower socioeconomic rungs have more of a problem with obesity. And then obesity begets diabetes and hypertension, as you know. So the thing is that these are objective, these diseases don't discriminate, right? These are objective things. So if someone has hypertension, has diabetes, has obesity, it doesn't matter what color they are. It just matters that they've got those things. And if they've got those things, I think they need to be protected. It's really no different. I don't know, to take Chris Bosh. And again, I don't know details of his situation, but he had blood clots. Well, he had blood clots, and people said, you can't play because you're at risk. Eddie Curry with the Bulls had a heart condition, and that was a little controversial. And but the thing is, if people have those risks, so I mean, this is kind of the thing that I do. I don't do it with those kinds of diseases, but in what I do, and I don't do it as much as I used to when I served as a team physician a lot, people come to the physician and they say, is it safe for this person to play or isn't it? And now the diabetes is more to the fore, but it could be because of their neck, concussions, obviously, huge thing with concussions, right? We take people with the concussion protocols, and I think it's been a huge advance, and we say, we will not let you out there until you're clear. And then there are some cases, so I don't think that it's, I think it's colorblind. I think it's race blind. I think it's everything blind. It's just objective medical risk. And I'm just saying that I think with COVID, this is something we've never done before. As you know, I've said before that I think that the fact that the culture in football has grown far more permissive of people being big is really unfortunate, because people that are really big, they have worse health outcomes. And of course, the problem is, when we discuss this, you can't, a guy in a team can't say, well, I don't want you to play this heavy because it's bad for you, because the other guys are bigger, and it's probably helpful for a defensive lineman to be that big. I just think that And it'd be a hard thing to do, and we've discussed this in the past. I think in general it's a hard thing. You'd have to put restrictions across the board. Probably not happening. You were making the case it's not going to happen. I think with COVID, though, I think it needs to be rethought. I think the stakes are high.
Right.
And I think that, I don't know, if you're a coach on a team or an athletic director and you have a player who is at higher risk, I think maybe you've got a guy that's that, and I don't know how good a player he was. Maybe he was a fabulous player and maybe he handled his weight well and it made him a good player. And it isn't just weight. It can be asthma. I know that Eddie Goldman with the Bears elected not to play, and they have 2 designations. They have one if you have comorbidities, and he took that one, and I read that he has asthma. I don't know anything more about it than that. And they didn't force him to not play, and I'm just guessing that because of the asthma he chose not to, But and I think he probably made a good choice. But I think honestly, particularly in the schools, a little hard to do in the pros maybe, but particularly in the schools, I think that you just have to be, especially now, you have to be proactive. And if you compromise the team, if the player gets upset, these coaches in these schools are surrogate parents for these players. And, I just really think that I think you really have to bend over backwards to protect players that are high risk.
Statements in my life, Doc. So if it's the first time,
Well, you're not making it. You're reflecting what these guys are doing. You speak well. I think the bogus is on them, not on you, is what I'm trying to make clear.
No, and I certainly get it. And I wouldn't, if I were in position of a university, president or chancellor, especially at one of these top Power 5 conferences, I'd have to heavily weigh my decision on this because, I would take off that hat of the president and chancellor and put on the hat of the parent and say, what if my kid out of, 100,000 kids or whatever is the one that, gets it and something, bad happened. I wouldn't want that feeling. And so that's why I said, whether it's 1 or 1 million, you don't want that, that hanging over your head that based on your decision, some family lost, a student athlete, to this virus. And I think that's why I commend them, because it's a very difficult decision to make. And you're thinking about the livelihood of all these families and all these kids. And I think that it's better to be safe than sorry. And
I don't think it's safe.
I look at it.
I know, but I think it's the reverse. What if one of these kids isn't playing ball and he goes back home and he gets in trouble? Or one of them does a drug overdose, or one of them commits suicide? I mean,
Well,
is that not on their head too? I think it's more on their head.
Well, that happens, and right now, I think in this society we've accepted those other things that happen in life. There's a player with Ohio State a few years ago, offensive lineman, I believe he was, that took his life unexpected. No one on the team or the coaching staff were aware, and he went missing for 3 or 4 days, and they found his body. There was a player at Wabash College recently that took his life as well. Those sort of things, I think, because we have more information, more research, more documentation, and there are people in place in these universities, crisis, counselors to talk with these players. But I think as a society, we chalk that up as a part of life. I think with this pandemic, because we haven't in our generations have not seen this, it's everyone's, in my opinion, Doctor, grasping for straws and saying,
No, but Jerry, we know better. We know that the restrictions of the pandemic significantly increase suicides and drug addiction. The ones, not to mention domestic violence. And, we see that with these athletes too, right? So we know that these restrictions of sports, shutdowns, are not benign. They result in deaths. And so you cannot say, these college presidents cannot put their head in the sand and say, well, I'm virtuous, I'm doing the right thing, I'm not letting them play so nothing bad happens, because those restrictions result in deaths. It's been well shown. And all they really need to do is take, let them play, and it's really only a football issue, mostly a football issue, I should say. There are athletes that'll have comorbidities in other areas, but it's much more football because of the obesity factor in football that you don't see in other sports. So saying we're going to shut it down and be safe is wrong. It's not true. We know it's not true. We know that the lockdowns, every expert that's out there says that these lockdowns have horrible consequences. And if you need to do them, and it's clear that we need to do them with older people. I mean, most of the people that die are old. We know that, right? So those people, we ought to be on them like a hawk and do whatever you need to do. Restrictions, encourage vaccinations, everything. But doing restrictions on people that don't need them is just wrong and destructive and results in misery and human suffering and death. Look at the incidence of cancer that's been found because people aren't going to the doctor to get checked. I mean, at least in the campus, these kids are seeing a doctor regularly. If they're not there, if they're out in the street, who knows what they're going to do? So you can't say, they can't say, not you, but they can't say, I'm going to shut everything down and I'm being virtuous. You're not. You're hurting people. And I'm not the only one saying this, and I'm not saying they do it intentionally. I mean, I think they're trying to do the right thing. I think a lot of them are scared themselves.
Yeah.
But I think it's just wrong.
Yeah, and Doc, we can continue to go on. I do want to ask you this question because I do believe fear plays a major factor in the decisions that are being made. And you talk about, painting with a broad brush, but across the board, I think many, and not only just in the world of sports, I think, all across our society, fear is running rampant. And a lot of people are saying, they're afraid, where others are saying there's nothing to be afraid of. But in closing, I want to ask you the question when you talk about, and I understand I'm a part of the media, and I know that, there's some truth out there, and I know that there's some fake information that's being put out there as well. But we see the numbers as of this podcast, the total number of deaths in this country from COVID is somewhere around 191,000. They're projecting 240,000 deaths by the end of October. When you hear those numbers, how do you respond to that?
I think the only thing that matters is to do what's right. And I think it's very clear. So the projections have been wrong all along for increased deaths, as you know. So there was an element of herd immunity out there, and I'm not saying I advocate it, but it's pretty clear that in New York, for example, where nobody's getting sick and nobody's dying, because the virus is out there. So what I'm saying is this. The doctors that I talk to, and this is reported all over, are saying that the virus is less virulent than it was. It's number one. Number two, the reporting is kind of sketchy in a lot of places, because medical institutions are incentivized to have COVID people in there. They're incentivized to say they died from COVID. They get paid more money. So are you dying with COVID or because of COVID? So what I am saying is that the virus is less bad than it was. Even though there's some increases in cases here and there, the deaths have gone down a lot. This is another discussion for another day, but hydroxychloroquine, we've done a lot of research on this, and in another day I'll point out to people how that can make a huge difference if we'll let people use it. So how do I feel about it? I think every death is bad, but I think that we're in a very good place with COVID-19 going forward, not to mention potential vaccines.
Doc, thank you so very much. If anyone wants to get an opportunity to learn more and talk more with you regarding COVID, sports injury, sports medicine, how do they get a hold of you?
Our phone number is 847-699-6810. We have a terrific staff. Your call will be fielded by a human being, not a voicemail. Our website is ortho@ismoc.net. Our email, I should say that's our email. We're happy to field questions and help people any way we can.
Dr. Chaffer-Dromas, thank you so very much. It's always an honor and a pleasure to get an opportunity to spend some time with you on the Sports Medicine Update, a weekly podcast. Jerry Riles, Dr. Chaffer-Dromas. We'll talk to you next week, Doc.
Great. Thanks much, Jerry.
Take care.
You too.
Relax, reset, rejuvenate. Go to our link right now to restart your life. TheRewindSports60.com. What are you waiting for? Hope to see you soon. The Rewind Sports 60.
Take me out to the ball game, Hall of Famer Andre Dawson.
All right. Let's hear it from the greatest fans ever. On three. 1, 2, 3. Take me out to the ball game. Take me out to the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jacks. I don't care if I ever get back Forest Root. Root for the Cubbies. If they don't win, it's a shame. For it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the